Living in the nuclear age of today, it's easy to imagine that we'll never experience a man-made explosion on a huge scale. Surprisingly, before July 1945, when the United States detonated the Trinity nuclear test, the largest explosion to date wasn't from any deliberate act. Instead, it occurred entirely by mistake. Without further suspense or clickbaiting, today we'll be discussing the Halifax Explosion of 1917. A larger explosion than took place on any front lines of either World War. But what really happened that day? What were the immediate and long-term effects of the explosion? And what heroic stories emerged from this tragedy? To understand what happened, we have to look at the events leading up to the explosion. Halifax was a bustling port city in the 1910s. During World War I, it played a crucial role in the Allied war effort. The city's harbour was a vital transit point for soldiers, supplies, and munitions heading to Europe. On the morning of December 6, 1917, two ships were heading for Halifax harbour. The Mont Blanc was a French ship carrying a cargo of explosives and ammunition, including 2,925 tons of picric acid, 62 tons of gun cotton, and 246 tons of TNT. The other was a Norwegian ship called IMO, which was on its way to New York to pick up relief supplies for Belgium. As the two ships approached each other, the IMO tried to pass the Mont Blanc on the wrong side of the harbour. This caused a collision that ignited a fire on the Mont Blanc. The crew abandoned the ship and tried to warn people on shore of the danger. Unfortunately, they made these warnings in French. Most people were unaware of the danger, or curious about the burning ship, and gathered near the waterfront to watch. At 9:04 a.m., less than 20 minutes after the collision, the Mont Blanc exploded with a force equivalent to about 2.9 kilotons of TNT. The explosion created a fireball that rose over 3 kilometers into the air. It also generated a shockwave that shattered windows and buildings for kilometers around. A massive tsunami followed, sweeping away everything in its path. The explosion killed 1,782 people and injured another 9,000. It also destroyed more than 1,600 buildings and left over 25,000 people homeless. It was one of the worst disasters in Canadian history and had lasting effects on Halifax and its people. But despite the chaos and destruction, stories of heroism and compassion emerged from the tragedy. One such story is that of Vincent Coleman, a train dispatcher who sacrificed his life to save hundreds of people from the Halifax explosion. Coleman was working at the Richmond station near the harbour and saw the burning ship. He realized it was going to explode and decided to stay at his post to send a telegraph message to an incoming passenger train from St. John, New Brunswick. He warned the train to stop and to avoid entering the city. His message read, "Hold up the train. Ammunition ship afire in harbour, making for Pier 6, and will explode. Guess this will be my last message. Goodbye, boys." The train stopped safely outside the city and no one on board was injured. Coleman died in the blast along with about 1,700 other people. He is remembered as a hero, for his courage and selflessness. While a tragic loss of life, stories such as the Halifax Explosion disaster help to highlight the innate tendency of people to do good in times of need. Over the course of future videos we'll explore more stories like this in detail. For suggestions for future videos, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. This is a new channel and your support is massively appreciated.